about all the sporting activities from Tokyo to the English Premier League to the Spanish La Liga, the French Ligue 1, the German Bundesliga. But there is a big one set to go down later tonight there in Paris. It's about the Ballon d'Or. Who is going to win this title? Who is going to displace Rodri? Who didn't even make the shortlist of the 30-man players who definitely are in contention to win the Ballon d'Or. Well, outside that, we also discuss about football on the continent, talking about the CAF Champions League and the CAF Confederations Cup. It's no longer news that 4 Nigerian sides were involved, and one victory also was recorded. That's talking about the victory of Nigerian sides in the CAF Champions League. We also talk about the Nigeria Premier Football League, where we had 5 games go down across. That's the NPFL, where we had 4 games also rescheduled. But then 1 game is set to go down today. And of those 5 games that went down yesterday, we had just 1 away victory. But the good thing is that the Oluyole Warriors, they bounce back to winning ways. When I say they bounce back to winning ways, it's about them getting their first victory in the NPFL under Nuruddin Awerero in the Nigeria Premier Football League for the 2025-2026 football season. 2-1. It ended in favor of the Shooting Stars over that Kun Khalifat, the new boys in the NPFL. And then you also discuss about the interesting world of Formula 1, where Max Verstappen, well, he ran a dominant run in the Azerbaijan Grand Prix, and he told that it was a good performance from him. Russell finished the second. But what does this mean for the likes of that's the McLaren? Well, we'll talk about the 2025, that's Formula 1 constructors and also the Drivers' Championship. You get to know that on the course of the show as well this lovely morning. Well, also, just as you know, we'll discuss about the World Athletics Championship that got concluded yesterday. Yet it's no longer news. The Team US, they won the men's and also the women's 4x100 meter relay race, and definitely it's a good one for them. A clean sweep from the US. But then for Botswana, they etched their name also into the history books of the World Athletics Championship, becoming the first African side to win the 4x400 meter relay gold. And South Africa finished second as well. And they say that it's definitely a good one. But for Nigeria, where do we get better? And how can we improve ourselves? There are updates also from the world of tennis when we talk about the Lava Cup and also the Billie Jean King Cup title games that went down over the course of yesterday. So definitely all of these we'll discuss on today's edition of the show right here on 32 FM 94.9. We'll start straight from the biggest game that went down yesterday, in which many of us experienced. It is the English Premier League game at the Emirates Stadium, where Arsenal Football Club, they held Manchester City to a 1-1 draw. Why did I use that word, or why did I frame my words in that way? Held the Manchester City. Yes, for Manchester City, they scored early in that game, but Arsenal, they had to dig deep, scoring in injury time to ensure that at home, their fans could enjoy a goal over the citizens. 1-1, the game ended at the Emirates Stadium. Gabriel Martinelli coming off the bench in a week to score goals for Arsenal Football Club. John Wilkinson of the BBC is standing by, and we join him now for the BBC Premier League updates. When we come back, it's time to discuss more sporting stories and make it the rounds there in the world of sports, where definitely it's about Europe top 5 leagues, the BBC Premier League update.
BBC Premier League update from the home of Premier League football.
Hello, I'm John Wilkinson at the BBC Sports Centre. Manchester City gave up the most possession of any Pep Guardiola team in a top-flight match ever, and they were just minutes away from a 1-0 win at Arsenal. Erling Haaland had given City an early lead in the Premier League, and they kept it until the 3rd minute of injury time when Gabriel Martinelli equalised for the Gunners for 1-1. Here's the two managers, Mikel Arteta, but first, Pep Guardiola.
For the transition, we had the chances, you know, that in situations that we can run, but of course, it's not the way, you know, we like to play, but I give sort of credit first Arsenal, of course, and especially the mentally, the strength and the resilience for our team.
I think the manner that we played and dominated this game against this Manchester City, from my side as a coach, requires a big compliment to the team, and after that, I'm very disappointed with the results. It's true that, as you said, scoring at the end, it gives you a bit of emotion, a bit of a taste. But I think the first result for me was for Arsenal to win the game.
The result means that defending champions Liverpool have a 5-point lead at the top of the Premier League after 5 games. Aston Villa's goalless start to the league season has come to an end, but they remain in the bottom 3. Matty Cash scored from range against 10-man Sunderland, only for Wilson Isidore to equalise in a 1-1 draw, and Villa lie 18th in the table. Boss Unai Emery is struggling to understand why.
I was not happy, and I was worried as well, even when we were winning 1-0, because we were not playing with our style. We are not improving as a team how we want to play. It's getting more difficult. And today, was again something I am not feeling good.
Bournemouth against Newcastle finished goalless. The Newcastle boss Eddie Howe says it had been a challenging week, having played Barcelona in midweek.
We knew Wednesday took a lot out of us. Physically, it was such a tough game. 2 days later, you're coming here, which is one of the most intense games you're going to get in the Premier League. So that's why we made wholesale changes to the group, to try and not only physically get a bounce, but also mentally, because the games are totally different. This is a real challenge. And I was really pleased with how the squad adapted to that, and I thought we gave a good performance today.
For more football news from the BBC, go to bbc.com/football.
BBC Premier League update from the home of Premier League football.
All right, today you heard the BBC Premier League update as regards everything we need to know about the English Premier League. But then let's come to the African continent and discuss about the CAF Champions League and also the CAF Confederations games that went down yesterday and also over the course of the weekend. But just because we have a Nigerian sides participating in this, we'll tell you about the magnificent victory for Remo Stars yesterday. The Sky Blue Boys, the reigning champions of the NPFL, they were in devastating form as they trashed the US's Ilmaji of Comoros 4-0 yesterday at the MKO Abiola National Stadium there in Abeokuta. And you know that with that victory, you tell that they are on course to face off against that's South African champions, Mamelodi Sundowns, in the second round. Remember that for Remo Stars, they'll still be playing the return leg next weekend, also at the MKO Abiola National Stadium there in Abeokuta. And you tell that that's definitely a big one for them. Can they get one over that's the South African champions, Mamelodi Sundowns, so they can be in the league, that's the group stages of the CAF Champions League? That is one thing we want to see the champions of the Nigeria Premier Football League participating. But you also talk about Rivers United. They were in action also against the Lesser Argus of Congo away from home yesterday over the course of the weekend. That was on Saturday, and the result definitely was not the best for them as they drew that encounter. During that encounter, you tell that it was a crucial draw for them, but then how can they get one better? That's when they come home to Nigeria to play the return leg in the CAF Confederations Cup for Kwara United. 4-3. They lost to the hands of Asante Kotoko away from home there in Ghana. 4-3 yesterday. And for Abia Warriors against Joliba Football Club of Mali, they also drew that game 1-1. So you talk about Nigerian sides. Let's see what they can do coming the next weekend. And that's in the bid to be in the next round of the CAF Champions League and also the CAF Confederations Cup. Moving on, let's talk about the Nigeria Premier Football League, where from the 5 games that went down yesterday for the Oluyole Warriors, you tell that it was definitely a big victory for them, getting a victory in the NPFL. That's under Norridin Awerero. They are first for the season. 2-1. The game ended yesterday, and they tell that for that victory, what does it do to Shooting Stars? Probably it builds their confidence going into the next games of the NPFL season. But for the other games, the only away victory recorded was Nasarawa United getting one over Bayelsa United 2-1. El Kanami Warriors defeated Warri Wolves by 1-0. And Neyimba in the 5-goal trailer, they defeated Bendel Insurance, the Benin Arsenal, by 3-2. And also another goal trailer, that's the 6-goal trailer, Niger Tornadoes got the better of Ikorodu City by 4-2. Later today, we have Katsina United face off against the Wiki Tories. That's in the Monday evening football of the Nigeria Premier Football League. Straight, let's go back to Europe and talk about the football actions that went down there in Spain. We tell that it was a Ferran Torres double who helped the Barcelona cruise to victory over Getafe 3-0. That was the victory for FC Barcelona. And also for Inter Milan, they followed up on the positive start in the Champions League by defeating Sassuolo by 2-1 to put their Serie A season back on track. Federico Di Marco and Carlos Augusto scored Inter's goal in a largely undrawn encounter at the San Siro, which ended with Christian Chivu's team creeping into the top half with 6 points from 4 matches. And also you talk about Pellegrini, where Lorenzo Pellegrini fired Roma to victory in the derby over Lazio 1-0. I tell that's definitely a good victory also for that's AS Roma. In the German Bundesliga, Karim Adeyemi lone goal, well, definitely was enough for Borussia Dortmund as they edge past Wolfsburg, that's in the German Bundesliga. But in the French Ligue 1, a game set to go down later today. The reason why this game didn't go down yesterday was postponed amid a storm warning, but it has been rescheduled till today. That's the Le Classique, the game there in France between Paris Saint-Germain and Marseille. But then one man definitely won't be attending that game, or you say maybe most of the Parisians. That's talking about those who are in contention to win the Ballon d'Or ceremony that is set to go down later today. And talking about the Ballon d'Or ceremony, well, you tell that the 69th edition of the award ceremony will take place at the Théâtre du Chalier there in Paris later today. The men's Ballon d'Or, the women's Ballon d'Or, the men's Copa Trophy, the women's Copa Trophy, all of these actions, all of these trophies are set to be given out later today. How many Africans do we have in all of this? We'll come later in the afternoon to talk about that when we come on the show. For Jose Mourinho inside, well, definitely got to a comfortable start under his tutelage, winning by 3-0. That's in the Portuguese Premier League. Jose Mourinho's first game back since 2000. He's gotten his first victory also for that's Benfica Football Club. And leaving football-related stories, let's quickly go straight to Tokyo and talk about the event that definitely happened from last week till that was yesterday. You tell that the 2025 World Athletics Championship concluded in Tokyo with the U.S. topping the medals table, and highlights included Daniel Satial discus win, Leo Nagber's decatlon victory, and Nicola Olsega's high jump gold. Well, the USA lead with 26 medals, followed by Kenya from Africa with 11 medals and Canada with 5 medals. For Botswana, like I said, etched their name into history book as becoming the first African side to win the 4x400 meters relay. And definitely that was the big one, or the biggest moment for me where we talked about the World Athletics Championship. Lastly, in the world of Formula One, Max Verstappen pulled off a pole to flag victory in the Azerbaijan Grand Prix after championship leader Oscar Piastri crashed out, did not finish that race on the opening lap of the twisting street circuit. Piastri's McLaren teammate and closest rival Lando Norris also was unable to capitalize fully, only finishing 7th and reducing the gap at the top of the standing by 6 points to 25. All right, this is how far we can go on today's edition of the show. We'll come later in the afternoon by 3:30 to discuss some more related stories and making the rounds there in the world of sports. But the Ballon d'Or and also reaction from the game that went down yesterday there at the Emirates Stadium will top the list. I am SAMIES, your sports captain. I say do enjoy the rest of your day and bye for now.